Welcome back to The Architect. My name is Edward Mugo and you're watching The Architect. Last time we were talking about building modalities. We tackled fully direct and labor contract. Now, today we are going to expound on that, discuss one or two other building modalities, and do not go away. Keep watching The Architect and make sure you subscribe. If you've not done so, take a minute or so before you come back and make sure you subscribe and follow us on Facebook. Welcome back. We talked about fully direct and labor. So now we're going to talk about full contract. What is a full contract? A full contract is where you have your designs put out for you by your architect. Your engineers have done their bit, they've done their drawings, quantities have been done by the quantity surveyor. Everyone is ready to move on. So what happens is you go to tender process, the process is done, where you identify a contractor, main contractor. Now this contractor, you get into contract with him. If you're putting on an office block or a block of apartments or even your own residential home, you get into contract with him. Now, the modalities of that is that the QS, who is the keeper of the contract documentation, would prepare a contract BQ, which shows the final amount negotiated. Now, that contract BQ is now, the sum is imported into a form of contract now, which is either a standard one or one prepared specifically for a project. In that regard, there are projects where the main contractor asks for a mobilization fee or a down payment, which is paid in the region of 10%. After that, his other payments are done on certification. Certification meaning an architect's certificate has to be signed by the architect saying that the builder has done, say, work of a certain amount of money. If, say, the contract is for, say, 200 million, and month one, the builder has done work of, say, 8 million, the architect will prepare an architect certificate in conjunction with the quantity surveyor who does evaluation of work done. Remember, if you want to know what evaluation is, kindly go back to our earlier videos, which shows what a quantity surveyor does. And you will see we mentioned something to do with valuation and the bill of quantities. Now, that valuation is taken, given to the architect who does a certificate who he gives that certificate to the contractor. The contractor now hands over that certificate to his employer or the client, which is you, who now makes the payment to him. Okay, this is an example of the QS valuation, showing what the contract amount was, what the value of work done was, what the advance payment, which is again, which is attached and is to be recovered, is so much. The next page shows the various jobs the contractor has done and the value of what is done. The third page shows the distribution of payments to the main contractor, to the subcontractors, and the total amount due for this certificate. This is what is called a valuation done by the quantity surveyor, and he sends this to the architect. Now when the architect gets this, he puts everything down in form of a certificate. This is a blank form of an interim certificate, which is issued by the AAK, and this is issued in respect for architects certifying work on various jobs. This means that you are actually paying in arrears. The contractor does the work, you pay him in arrears after he's done the work. The beauty about this is that if there is, and we only certify for work done which is proper work done. For example, if the contractor does a wall which needs demolition and needs to be put up again, then the architect will not certify for that particular wall. He will only certify when that wall has been put up correctly. It doesn't matter even if the MC needs to do it 3-4 times, then you pay for it only once, because that is your right. That is how the contract has been done. So it behoves that the contractor who who is able to do a contract that is full is obviously of a higher class than, say, a fundi or somebody who can only do a labor contract. Now, because in his team then, we also look at the kind of personnel he has employed. We look at his technical managers, his foremen, what kind of certification do they have? Because you don't want, again, to be rectifying work every time. You want, by the time now the contractor is going to site, you go once, he does it once, we approve it, or we certify it, and he's paid for good work done. The pro about it that it's very professional. It's you get a very good job done, very good standard of job. Every big contract you see out there is done in this manner, and it's done in time. Because what happens is, a lot of times, if a contractor delays, then in the contract there's a penalty clause that is kicked in to charge the main contractor time for any time spent over and above the time he was meant to have finished. The negative about this is that it's the most expensive of the various options, because you're paying in arrears. It's like the contractor is lending the project money from his own money. So therefore, there's a bit of financing cost involved, but all in all, it is the most pricey option out of the three so far we've talked about. It is also the most, in terms of capacity, because full contract cannot be managed without having the full team of people who are required to be there. You need the architect, the engineers, the quantity surveyors. You need the full team available for this project. So in that regard, you may not have the option, say, if you're working with a fundi probably just need the architect in case you don't want to go the full hog. But for this one, you need the full team involved. It is recommended that the project, obviously, we as architects, we like using a contract that is full, because it's easy to manage. Because it's easy to manage, you go to site, go for a meeting, instruct the contractor on what to do, approve what is to be approved, change what is to be changed, and you move on accordingly. Now, there is a hybrid modality which has come up in the market because of taking the best out of the contract that is full contract and the best out of the contract that is labor and mixing them. This hybrid is where you go for a contract which is full, but you're supplying some elements of that contract. For example, you go for a contract, you sign with an MC, but you tell him, look, for some materials, I would be able to supply them directly as a client. Why is this important? Sometimes you as a client are able to make decisions for materials which are fairly personal. Something like tiles or bathroom fittings or electrical fittings that you want to really be in touch with. You want to go and do your own shopping, and you want to make sure that you've identified the product that you want. So in that regard, the contract for the MC will be changed to reflect the fact that the client can actually deliver some materials to site, which the MC would take, receive, and fix on site. So that's a hybrid between full and labor. But it works well because, one, it personalizes your building project to yourself. Two, it also saves you some money. For example, if you're putting up an office block and you're keen to save some money, you can decide to bring in your own lifts. You can decide to bring in your own generators. You can decide to bring in your own fittings, your own tiles and windows, and that will be incorporated into the contract because it is a hybrid. Now, those are the four main ways of building modalities. So depending on how your architect on how advises you, you can see which works for you. We are happy to give you that advice. Our contacts are here below. But keep watching the architects. Our mandate is to inform you so that you make the best decisions as you get into your building projects. Thank you, and God bless you.